Hey everybody, and welcome to Made the Cut 2. I want to start doing more videos that are like this in this channel, just me kind of talking to the camera and it being, a lot less edited and stuff like that. So, with that being said, today's video is going to be essentially matching up by position the two teams that are going to be in the World Series, the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. Now, I want to break this up into three categories, right? Whichever one I believe has the advantage in that position, I'm going to give it to the team, being obviously either LA or Toronto. But then I also have a third category, which is about even, right? That's when the difference is so marginal. In my opinion, I wouldn't feel right picking one team over the other. So, without further ado, let's hop right into it. At catcher, obviously, you have Alejandro Kirk and Will Smith. I would probably, especially in a 7-game series, give this one to the Dodgers just because Smith has been so great offensively. Over a full season, you can make an argument that Kirk and what he brings to the table is roughly about as valuable, if not slightly more valuable, especially from a defensive perspective. But in a short 7-game series, that hitting prowess and the fact that Smith doesn't lose your team games with the glove, I think gives him the edge over Kirk to me. Although, again, shout out Kirk. I really love Kirk. As for first base, as much as I love Freddie, and I think Freddie is an incredibly clutch player, and he could have a great series, don't get me wrong. I do think right now, by a relatively small edge because Freddie is so good, I have to give it to the Blue Jays just because of Vladdy. Vladdy's been so hot this postseason. I just dropped a video on him here recently. I think that he might be the best player in this series outside of Shohei. So I'm going to have to give it to the Blue Jays on that one. As for second base, a matchup of, honestly, they could plug and play a lot of players here. I'm expecting it to be probably Tommy Edman and then IKF. Between those two, I think they're about even. I think versus lefties, Tommy Edman's going to be the better player. But IKF overall, I think, had the better season by WAR and a few other OPS, a few other metrics. So I'd say they're about even. Like I said, depending on who you plug and play in there. I mean, Kike could see time at second base, right? I think that could change. With that being said, I do think they're about even as of now based on that matchup. Now, as for shortstop, Andrés Giménez, I don't want to take anything away from him. He's been solid with the bat, had a couple homers in that last series, and he, of course, is excellent with the glove. I mean, the guy could be a borderline Gold Glover at shortstop, which is crazy, right? Because he already is a platinum glover at second base. But so I want to give all the shine in the world to Andrés Giménez, but there's no way you can tell me that Mookie Betts is in the same league as Giménez, right? Or more accurately, Giménez is in the same league as Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is a future Hall of Famer. He's looked like a future Hall of Famer for the last couple months after a rough start to the season. I'm going to have to very decidedly give this one to the Dodgers. Now, as for third base, it's closer than you might necessarily assume because Ernie Clement has been one of the most, and who's projected to be at third base, has been one of the most valuable utility players this season. He's played all over the diamond. He's played exceptional defense. Go look at his fielding run value totals. And he's been a pretty good hitter, right? A pretty good slap hitter. That's his mold. That's who he is. With that being said, Max Muncy, during his time, and he got injured part of this season, he was at a nearly 40 homer pace. I think he finished with like 19 again because of some injuries. And after he got his glasses, he had, if I'm not mistaken, around a 900 OPS. The dude absolutely rakes. He's not nearly as good defensively as Clement. I do think I'm going to have to give it to the Dodgers here. Not by a ton, but definitely by a solid amount. Now, in right field, you have Addison Barger and Teoscar Hernandez. This one's tough for me. I love Teo from the perspective of a hitter. Dude is very, very solid, especially in this postseason. He's been very solid. Had a bit of a down year in the regular season, but he's been very solid this postseason. The problem is, as a base runner and then as a fielder, the dude is just atrocious. Now, I know Barger's no Gold Glover in right field, based on at least my perception of the numbers I've seen. But he is pretty good, and he's got a cannon of an arm, and he's not going to hurt you on the bases. And they had around the same OPS this year, right? Because Teo's had such a good postseason with the bat, I'm going to say they're about even. Now, in stature, Barger is a little bit below Teo, I would argue. But I have to take into account both their momentum coming into the series as well as their overall pedigree. So I think they're about even right now. Now, in center field, coming into the postseason, I would have given the Dodgers probably a slight edge here because Pa has had a very good season. He did not finish it the best, don't get me wrong, but he had a very good season as a relatively young player. And Dalton Varsho missed a decent portion of the year, even though he had a very good season as well. As of now, because of Pages' ridiculously bad postseason, I mean, the dude is on one heck of a cold streak, and the fact that Varsho has been very solid and, of course, is just gold glove quality in center field every year, I'm going to give this one to the Blue Jays as of now. Again, not by a ton. That when you get to the pinnacle, right, like both of these teams are, you're going to have relatively small differences position to position most of the time, right? So I think for this one, it skews just barely in the direction of the Blue Jays. Now, for left field, Nathan Lucas played left field a few times in the last series. He could potentially play right field. Barger could maybe even slide over to third if they want to move Clement. Things can get shaken up, but I'm going off of the most recent lineups that both teams put out. So Lucas would be in left field right now, and then Kike Hernandez would be in left field for the Dodgers. Now, as much as I love Kike, and I think Kike, I mean, he's one of the best postseason hitters of all time. There's no two ways about it, especially relative to what he does in the regular season. With that being said, his postseason has not been blow your socks off good this year. It's not like he's hitting 400 with 5 homers. I don't think he has a homer yet. And Lucas has been just such a huge part of that Blue Jays batting order for the last calendar year. I do think I have to give it to Lucas. He's also pretty solid out there defensively, more so than Kike. So I'm gonna give it to the Blue Jays with the acknowledgement that Kike could go out there and hit 3 homers and make me look ridiculous. Now, DH. I don't think this one's much of a conversation. As much as I love George Springer from the perspective of his postseason pedigree since the trash banging stuff, and as much as he had just a great series last series, obviously, I mean, he had the game-winning, series-winning homer, should I say. And again, he's one of the best postseason hitters of all time. You cannot tell me coming into this that you're going to pick anybody over Shohei, right? Like, there's no DH that's better than Shohei. So, I'm going to go ahead and throw Shohei to the Dodgers here. Starting pitching-wise, I do think that the Blue Jays have some very high-quality starting pitching. They do. Kevin Gossman's awesome. Trey Savage has been really good, obviously, in his rookie season. They have pretty decent starting pitching, and a few others, too. With that being said, the Dodgers have Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Shohei, obviously. I mean, there's so much talent, and they've been on such an incredible hot streak over the last month or so. I got to give it to the Dodgers. I did want to acknowledge that the Blue Jays have some decent starting pitching, but yeah, come on. It's going to come down to the Dodgers are going to get that. Now, when it comes to relief pitching, the Dodgers and Blue Jays have objective pieces. For the Dodgers, Sasaki, Vesia, Robleski's had some really high leverage innings for them, funny enough. They've had some good, Emmett Sheehan, they've had some good performances. Especially in that DS over the Phillies, besides almost blowing that one game. And the Blue Jays, they have some objective, very good pieces as well. Hoffman's been really good the second half of the season. Sir Anthony Dominguez, they picked him up for a reason, right? A couple other guys as well in there. Varland was one of the big acquisitions, honestly, of the trade deadline that went relatively unnoticed. Between the two, because they do have weapons, and they both have questions too. They both have struggled. I think I'm going to end up putting that at about even, right? I think that's fair. So, when we break down the positional leaderboard, and you can go with the bench too. I could have included bench. For me, bench is hard because guys that you get injured, you plug in, you play. I kind of like going off of posted lineups. If I included bench, I think you probably would have to lean towards the Blue Jays, right? So if you want to throw that in there as a mental adjustment, you can throw that in there as well. They do have just a ton of depth overall. I love Miles Straw as a pinch runner and a late season or late inning defensive replacement, but I'm not including that right now on the official list. So, as the official list stands, the Dodgers have a 2-position advantage. Now, this to me, I want to point out something that everybody is saying. It feels like in the baseball world, the discourse kind of is David versus Goliath, and the discourse is, the Blue Jays are going to be fighting an incredible uphill battle, and it's crazy they got here. relative again to the Dodgers and their path, right? The Dodgers were expected to win 110 plus games. The Blue Jays were expected to finish third in their division. All these things, all these narratives. And I understand where all of them are coming from. With that being said, there's a 2-spot advantage for the Dodgers. One of them is pretty big. Starting pitching, I mean, you could go, bracket by bracket, and it might seem a little bit bigger. But I also will say starting pitching is the most volatile component here as well. If Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto come out and give up 6 runs each, that can potentially change the entire game. And the Blue Jays lineup overall is so good with so much depth. Their lineup, if we included a separate tile here for just overall lineup construction, probably right now is better than the Dodgers when it comes to the depth of it. I don't know if it's as good when we consider how good the Dodgers' top of the lineup is, but regardless, with that being said, and with the fact that, again, starting pitching is a big component here and a big variable, and it can kind of go either way, they only have a 2-block lead, the Dodgers do, right? So this is anybody's series. I really do believe that. This is anybody's series. I think when it comes down to it as well, these positions right here, right, second base, right field, and relief pitching, that's going to be, in my opinion, where it ends up coming down to more than likely, right? Where they're relatively evenly lined up, that's a huge differentiator, especially the bullpens, right? If LA comes out and keeps the games close and it's 6-5 going into the 7th, and then their bullpen, which has blown games all year, starts blowing them, Trinan, comes out and gives up 3 runs without recording it out or something, or the Blue Jays, maybe Hoffman gets back into a funk in the series and blows a couple saves. That's what I think it's all going to come down to versus just the Dodgers murdering them and sweeping them in 4 games or something like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I want to do more videos like this. If you want to leave any suggestions for videos like this, I can do in the comments below. I'd love to see them. Remember to like and subscribe as well if you enjoy stuff like this. And I'll catch you in the next one. Have a nice rest of your day.